Just before we start, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're meeting on today and pay our respects to elders past and present. Today we're going to be talking about a community development project called Matter of Trust, and the project is around elder abuse, focusing on financial abuse with CALD communities. But just quickly, I'll give you a bit of an overview of our organisation. So we are from Eastern Community Legal Centre in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. We provide free legal advice and support to the community, and we also have a community development and partnerships team that FEDAC and I are part of. And our role is to work in a community development framework to raise awareness, provide education, and really focus on prevention so that the community doesn't end up having to see our lawyers. It's kind of what our job is. Okay, FEDAC.
So we'll be swapping slides just to keep it interesting. So the Matter of Trust project came about from the Migrant Settlement Committee, which is a committee that meets in the eastern region, and it's a couple of services that assist migrants and refugees. So the sheriff, who was a participant in the Migrant Settlement Committee, he noticed a trend where he was going to claim people's assets, including their houses. And when he would turn up to the person's house, it was the first time that that person had ever, found out that there was a series of fines, reaching to the point where their assets were to be claimed. So he did notice that this was sort of a reoccurring thing, and he saw that mostly in CALD communities. So he brought that to the committee, and that was when we decided to take on this project. And the purpose of it was to facilitate prevention and awareness raising of financial elder abuse, in particular in CALD communities. And the structure of the project was that we facilitated workshops, so community workshops, where we introduced elder abuse to the communities, what it is, how to identify it, how it looks like. And then we would do an exploration of a story where we would create a community story alongside the community. So they would tell us the story that would include cultural and linguistic and religious nuances. So the community themselves own the story and we work with it. We also worked alongside various local services who would come in and speak to the story. At which point can they intervene? At which point can the victim or their family seek assistance and get that help? And we also worked alongside community advisors who were community leaders in some capacity in their own community, and they were sort of like the conduit between us and the community. The community knows them, they trust them, so they were sort of the facilitators during our workshop. They marketed their workshop within their communities, and we worked alongside them.
We didn't organise our notes very well here. So the initial phase of the project, we engaged with 3 communities, the Chinese, Greek and Indian communities. And we chose our communities based on they were fairly large and fairly established communities within the Eastern Metropolitan Region where we work. And our thinking behind this was that they had established quite a lot of assets within the community and were very interested to hear about how they could protect those, and financial abuse was something that they were very interested in, and it was a way of getting our foot in the door to talk more broadly about elder abuse, but they were really receptive to that issue of financial abuse. We just sort of want to make it clear that we weren't choosing communities based on some thought that there was worst cases of elder abuse. It was really about, the project's really about a message of elder abuse, raising awareness and doing that in a way that recognises the cultural sensitivities and complexities that come with that, and delivering that message in a way that was sensitive to that particular community. We were lucky to get a second phase of funding from the Victorian Multicultural Commission, which brought us to the second phase of the project and enabled us to re-engage with the first communities, the Chinese, Greek and Indian, and also to expand the project to the Italian community and the interfaith communities. And that's sort of the work that we're working on at the moment.
So after the initial phase, and the second round of funding, we had to reignite the connections that we had with the initial communities, being the Greek and the Chinese and the Indian. And we looked at the evaluations that came out from the initial phase after we had done those series of workshops. And what people asked for was generally more of what we were doing. So they asked for more information. They asked for a chance to ask more questions of the services who are participating, more one-on time with services to approach them about confidential matters. But most importantly, they asked for that information to be passed on to their families, especially their sons and daughters who are more likely to be the perpetrators. And that's when we did the community days and the family days.
So when we were planning the family days, it was really important to work closely with the community and make sure that the events were really led by the community. So this brought with it some challenges, which Fedak's going to talk about a little bit later. But they were able to advise us on when to have the events, what sort of content the community was looking for, location, whether we could co-present with some other event that was happening and all those sorts of things. So that was really helpful for us. They asked for a community event that was going to engage all ages. So initially we'd worked with the advisors, but they wanted their whole community to be part of the conversation and to understand what elder abuse was, what it looked like, and to understand what they could do to prevent it from happening within their own communities. The family days were really very simple. They consisted of having some guest speakers and an expert panel where the community was able to ask questions and really explore some of the issues that were really important to them with some service providers and experts in the area.
And the Indian Family Day that we're showing you photos of ended with an opportunity to have lunch with the community, and that was a way to have informal conversations with community members and to facilitate a little bit of the trust between ECLC and the community members.
So at the moment we have, as we've talked about, reconnected with the advisors and services that we worked with initially in the first phase. We're now engaging with the Italian community and the interfaith community. So the interfaith network we're also working on the workshop because the workshop looks quite different, working with a specific held community and moving that into working with interfaith community. And our vision is that these faith leaders will act as sort of ambassadors and for their communities, where the community can come to them. We advise them that they can't be giving legal advice, but hopefully they can give information. They will be aware of referral pathways and direct their community in the right direction, whether it be to our organisation or other organisations within the region that can provide the services that they're looking for.
So some of the challenges that we faced throughout the project, particularly with making new connections or reigniting connections with the community, that was a difficulty, or in reality it took a lot of time, and when you have a lot of funding deadlines that sort of makes it quite difficult. Because the way the project was structured is that we wanted it to be community-led. We wanted to work collaboratively with the community advisors and with the community themselves, and we wanted them to sort of lead the project. And these things take time. Resourcing was another challenge, especially with acknowledging the contribution of our community advisors who were taken on as volunteers, but also having ongoing funding to actually meet the requests and the need that the community were asking for. And in relation to the family days that we had in this second phase with the same communities, although the community asked for the information to be passed on to their sons and daughters, and that's how we tailored the family days to be, we didn't see that exactly reflected with the attendees on the day. Although we had a few young people, it was again largely a seniors group.
So I've just got a really quick video of some of the participants in the Indian Day to show you, and the sound's not working.
Project. Well, I'm a faith and community leader, and for me, human rights, social justice, and respect for all is really important. Eastern Community Legal Centre is a really strong brand in the East in Melbourne in Victoria, and what they stand for is very similar: human rights, social justice, and respect for all. So it became that much easier for me to get involved in this project because I knew that we were on a shared page and a common goal of prevention of elder abuse. I also work in the financial and banking services sector, and trust me, I have seen so much of financial elder abuse, which has resulted in all forms of elder abuse, psychological, social, etc. And that also encouraged me to become part of the Matter of Trust project spearheaded by ECLC.
Yes, I represent Indian Care, and we have set ourselves up to try and be a welfare wing for the Indian community and try to make connections with mainstream organizations so that their problems can get resolved with some help from us in a culturally sort of sensitive manner. So I saw this project squarely as one such endeavor, and we were very glad to be part of it.